All right, we are on video 4 of my thinking and leads to eating. And this one is, I'm hoping, where you'll get a lot of hope and reassurance. So the first thing I want to say is, if I could go back in time based on where I'm at today at 45 years of age, and I could go back to, say, 20-year-old Heather, 22-year-old Heather, any time in the past, I would want to deliver the message that I'm going to give you today in this video. It would have literally changed the course of my life. It would have. To understand what I understand now would have changed so much, because at the time that I was in the real crux of my binging, my restricting, my overeating, all of those things, emotional eating, I was dealing with so much anxiety, so much stress, so much sadness. But what I didn't realize was my thinking was creating it. It was creating the problems and then trying to offer up a solution of food for the thing. And I thought there was something really wrong with me. I felt like I was the only one battling this. I felt so alone, so isolated, so broken. And I really just thought nobody would even understand. Like, I'm sneaking food in eating it in the back of a car, ditching wrappers and trash cans like I'm an addict, because in a way I am, right? Like I'm struggling with things in the same way a drug addict would. But I didn't understand this knowledge of my lower brain worries about me, doesn't want me to feel, doesn't want me to fail at things, doesn't want me to, literally or figuratively die. It's trying to protect me, so it's troubleshooting every possible problem, riddling me with anxiety and stress, which then throws me into the arms of food, which then keeps my whole weight issue going. And then, oh my gosh, you've been binging for a week or so, and now the scale's up. You know what we need to do? We need to diet again. It's like it was Groundhog Day over and over and over again. And if I could go back to 20-something-year-old Heather and show her this pattern and actually help her understand it, we could have gotten out of that way sooner. So this is why I'm putting this series together, because even if just one of you says, oh, wow, yes, I see this, and you shortchange the timeline for you and you can save yourself 10, 20 years, hey, I am ecstatic. I can't go back in time and help younger Heather, but if I can help you, I'm thrilled. So the general message of this is, you're not broken. Your brain is operating completely normally. Isn't that crazy? Like, you've thought, oh my gosh, all this eating of food to deal with how I'm feeling, all of my thoughts, maybe even my binge eating, this is my lower brain just doing what my lower brain does. You are not weird, broken, messed up. Your brain is acting normally. Think about that. Now that you know this, right? Knowledge is where it's all at. By understanding the system, by knowing how the system works, by knowing the rules, you can actually start to change things. You can't change them when you're blind to how the whole thing goes. The reason I thought I was broken, the reason I thought I was messed up, is because I didn't understand where these urges were coming from. I didn't understand the cycle I was in. I didn't understand that I needed to quiet my head down when it started what-ifing me to death and putting out there all these scary stories and how the world is against Heather and da-da-da-da-da-da. If I had learned to shut that voice down early on, I would never have had the stress and anxiety, which would then not have tripped my lower brain into sending me into the arms of the pantry. But I didn't know that then, right? So all of you are thinking, okay, Heather, these videos, man, they are speaking to me. This is so true. I kind of find myself in this every single day. What's going on? What do I do, right? That's the question. I've had to have a lot of client talks where I explain to them there is no checkoff list. There is no actions to really take. There's nothing physically to see you do. It's understanding the system you are in. By understanding the system, and I use the analogy with a lot of my clients, I said, it's like you're pulling out of your driveway, and if you turn left, there's a huge gaping pothole at the end of your street. And if you turn that way, you're probably going to blow out 2 of your tires, and you're probably going to be late for work, and that pothole exists. Your initial desire is, hey, Heather, tell me what to do about the pothole. How do I fill it in? Should I barricade it off? What should I do with the pothole? The pothole does, in this example, the pothole never goes. It's always there. If it's not there, it moves somewhere else. But the pothole exists indefinitely. Your job is not to fill in the pothole. It's not to fix the pothole. It's not to put a barricade around the pothole. It's to know it's there and choose a different path. That's it. It's to understand it. So when you're pulling out of your driveway, you go, you know, potholes down there. I don't want to have $500 in tire repairs today. I don't want to blow it out. I know it's there. I'm going to choose to turn right. That is really the choice, and the awareness are the only things that you really have control over. But I tell you now, the power of the knowledge is huge. I see my brain get chatty about all kinds of things. And the more and more I learn about this, it gets chatty about time management. It gets chatty about comparison. There's a lot of things it can get chatty about that in the past would have led me to overthinking the what ifs. It would have caused me to future trip. It would have caused me to feel a lot of stress and anxiety, which would have led me to eating, right? But now I know exactly what's happening. I'm fully aware of what it is. And you'll start to even learn the lower brain voice and the repetitive statements it makes. And you can start to dismiss them. So really your job, if you want to think of a job, it's to become more and more aware of that voice when it pops in. Learn who it is or what it is, whatever some of my clients will call it lower brain Heather, higher brain Heather, Heather 1, Heather 2. They find it helpful to kind of give it a little bit of an identity, so that way they understand what it is, and then they have to choose to turn the car in the opposite direction. I'm hearing this, I'm now going to go do this instead, because I realize that this conversation will go on forever, really. It will kind of drive you into the arms of food, because that's where it's leading you, right? It's leading you back to that same comfort. And again, it's all doing it from a place, the lower brain is operating from a place of protecting you, so nothing bad happens to you. But yet, by the very nature of what it does, it creates anxiety and stress, which leads you to eat, because it wants to fix that too. So anyway, now that we've kind of talked about you're not really broken, your brain is operating completely normally, and your job is to become self-aware. There are some great resources I want to drop in your lap. I'm going to put these book links in the show notes, or not in the show notes, but in the video notes. There's a couple great books to get started with. So first, Dr. Amy Johnson, she's awesome. She helped with the Brain Over Binge Recovery Guide with Katherine Hansen. She has a podcast called Changeable. She has actually spoken about binge eating a few times there and on her YouTube channel, but she has a couple great books of her own. Just a Thought, I finished that one, it's fantastic. And then she also has The Little School Big Change and one called Being Human. All of those are super good books I would encourage you to read to kind of better understand how your thinking works. Another great person to check out, Michael Neal. It's called The Inside Out Revolution. You would want to definitely check that book out too. Another resource is Katherine Hansen's Brain Over Binge Recovery Guide. I like that book a lot. I would encourage you to check that out. When I first was exposed to her initial book, she had a lot of wonderful things to say, but I couldn't really wrap my mind around, I was looking for what to do, right? Like the whole point of this video. I was looking for my checkoff list. I was looking for the action steps. What I have learned since taking in other resources is the simplicity of it and the lack of actions required. We live in a world where we want to-do lists, we want action plans. But so when we realize this is more about general knowledge and understanding and awareness, it feels like we don't know where to go with that. So I really have benefited from taking in other teachers and then applying and then going back to the Brain Over Binge Recovery Guide. And now it's so much clearer to me. It makes so much more sense. Another great person to check out, Joseph Bailey. He wrote a book called Slowing Down to the Speed of Life. He also did one on fear, which I'm in the process of reading right now, which is really good. So these would all be some great authors, people to check out, learn from, if you're really trying to work on modifying how you think, how you perceive your brain as it goes through these processes, to kind of learning more about this. So I hope this video helped you. Please like and subscribe. And I'm going to be doing some other videos on, and illustrating for you how certain topics like the scale, certain things like that, tend to be the springboard for your thinking to kind of go a little wonky, for your lower brain to kick in, and how it shows up, and then typically the cycle I see most people falling into. So I hope those videos help. So we're going to do some more, but about specific things that I think trip people up, that kind of lead them into this vicious cycle of the lower brain worrying about things, trying to fix them, creating that stress and anxiety, which leads you to eating. All right, guys, you have a fantastic day. Check out some of those resources I mentioned, and I will talk to you soon.